All right. Welcome to Ben and Barry on Football. My name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, for which we use as a basis for much of our discussion. My compadre in crime here is.
My name is Ben Dickerson. I am a firm believer in the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, and I'm ready to talk some football.
Good. Oh, man. Well, we got a lot of good stuff to talk about. But before we get started, I do want to say if you have never had a chance to see us on YouTube and you're looking at this for the first time, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button so that you'll make sure that you do get access to these when we put these up. And there's a bell right above which will allow you to get notifications when we put up a new video. Today's show, we will be going over a number of things. Our usual, number one, is the top five. So we're going to go over the top five in terms of net points, points for, points against, and turnover margin. Those are the stats that we pay the most attention to. Secondly, we will look at the matchup for the upcoming weekend, and there's some really good stuff for the upcoming weekend. Mm-hmm. And we normally finish up with our rants. You have a rant this week, Ben?
I got a little something.
All right, great. And we'll go through our social media so we'll know where to find us. And then that's pretty much it. So, Ben, let's get ready to kick this thing off with the top five. And let me tell you, some good stuff happening. Let's take a look at top five from 5 on up. So net points, again, net points is the differential. It's the difference between points scored and points given up. Because again, you can score a lot of points, but if you're giving up more points, then you're pretty much going to be in the basement. You're not going to be able to win like that. So number 5 is a team who traditionally had been scoring a lot of points and giving up a lot of points. You said their defense was going to tighten up a little bit, and it must have because they're number 5 in net points with +40.
Little caveat, they had the bye this week.
This week coming up.
This week.
The past.
Finished. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So,
nobody got to score on them.
Drew, they didn't give up any points either.
That's right.
You know? And Drew Brees got a chance to celebrate his milestones.
That was fun.
Yeah. I mean, it couldn't happen to a better guy. Number 4 is the Mitchell Trubisky Chicago Bears. What should I say? The Khalil Mack Chicago Bears. Who's going to be the face of that franchise? Because
that's a good question. I would probably say it'll be Mitchell Trubisky in the long run.
Quarterback.
But for this year, Khalil Mack seems to be the one that's making the big difference.
Making that big difference. And they're tied, strangely enough, with the Kansas City Chiefs, who had one heck of a game against the GOAT, Tom Brady, and the New England Patriots, gave New England a bit of a scare.
Now, that's interesting that they're tied with the same amount of points, net points, for different reasons.
On the opposite end.
Exactly.
But I got to say this much about the Bears. Was it last week? They put up a bunch of points.
And that's what I was going to say. They're doing enough on offense to be much improved and get to the point where they are in the power ranking. And the Kansas City Chiefs, although people say, oh, they score a lot, they can't stop anybody, they're doing enough to be in the top 5 in the power ranking.
Yeah, we'll go through defense in a minute, and I'll mention where they are in the points against.
Look who's number 2.
Look who's number 2.
Mr. Steady.
Quietly just hanging away, just hanging in there, and people aren't really ready to give them a lot of love yet.
Not yet.
There's so much excitement going on with the number 1 team, the Los Angeles Rams, but 2 points apart, net point wise.
2 points apart. People are not paying attention to the Baltimore Ravens. People don't want to believe in Flacco, and no, he's not having a great year right now. He's not putting up spectacular numbers. He's just a game manager.
The Ravens are actually 10th in scoring. They put up 153 points. So, that's how they're hanging in there. So you're absolutely right as far as that's concerned. Um, Let me just mention, sometimes I'll go all the way to the bottom. So let's see who's hanging out at the bottom in terms of net points.
Let's not.
Yeah, let's. The $100 million coach is last place in net points with minus 66. Paid $100 million. And this is what you get.
In his defense,
Uh-oh.
I believe that he's the type of guy that wants to build a team, as they might say, in his own image. He hasn't had a chance to draft his own players yet, and I'm sure that during contract talks, let them know that he wants to be able to build the team the way that he wants to build the team, and not necessarily expect him to win right away with the players that he inherited.
Didn't his players that he inherited like a season or so ago, weren't they like winning? I mean, the Oakland Raiders are not like, the Cleveland Browns where they were losing and losing and losing. They were actually pretty competitive over the last couple of seasons. They've gone down since he's taken over.
No, they were already down.
They weren't down like that.
I don't think they made the playoffs last year.
They might not have, but they still were not as bad as they are now.
No, they were not as bad as they are now. But if you're not making the playoffs, what good is it?
Well, you can always
have to build on that, right?
You can always make incremental steps. If that old coach could get them at least with a positive, they had a positive win-loss record. We can go back and double check that, but they had a positive win-loss record. Another surprise in terms of net points that I just want to mention real quick is the Minnesota Vikings. They're 18th with -8 net points. Pretty much a surprise. And I don't know, did you see the dance that Cousins did after he scored that one touchdown?
Dude, I'm not up on these new dances. I don't know where they get.
I don't think he is too. It almost turned into a classic meme. But now, because he scored, because he did it.
Is that a real dance though? Is that a real?
I think
the limp arm thing.
I think it's the Kirk Cousins version of
that
the real
count.
dance.
His version. Okay.
His version.
His
and
version
now,
of the real dance.
I hear that their kids and stuff were picking up on the Kirk Cousins.
That's so sad.
I think they called it the dead arm.
The dead arm, yeah. That's so sad. Let's move on.
Well, the other one that I want to mention real quick, net point surprise again, Jacksonville Jaguars coming in at 21st with -17 net points. So you got a few teams that I really didn't expect that were going to be down this low, but they are. So we'll move on to the next, and that's points for. So these are the teams that are putting up the scores. These are the teams that are bringing up the scoreboard here. In fifth place, we have the Los Angeles Chargers with 175. And fourth place, you have your Patriots. You got to watch those Patriots because this is what they seem to do.
Mm-hmm.
They start off, like, for example, the Patriots were 7th in net points. They got +28. So they'll start off at about then. And we remember when we looked at net points and we were surprised that it was the 7th and 8th place team over a different few years who were actually the Super Bowl winners. You remember that?
Yeah, they were overall
somewhere in that 7
maybe
and 8.
5 or 6, 7 or 8, and
Right.
they ended up going all the way.
All the way. But like last year, it was the Eagles and the Patriots. They were both like one.
Yeah, they were
top. They were
clearly
top of
the
their
cream of the
list.
crop.
No
Yes.
doubt about it. But little surprise with that. The Jacksonville Jaguars are down there. Your Los Angeles Rams are in second place. Struggled a bit offensively against the Seahawks.
I wouldn't call it strong. I would say they were dominant on the ground. They didn't have to throw the ball much. They just ball controlled and beat them to death. Scored touchdowns. Yeah.
Well, they weren't scoring as much as they had been.
Because he's not throwing the ball all over the yard.
Yeah.
When the guy throws 40 passes, they're going to score a whole lot faster.
Is there a reason
Hence
they weren't throwing the ball?
Because they were running the ball at will.
Okay, we'll go with that for right now.
Don't throw your quarterbacks on now when you're running the ball
Hey, if you can run the ball, run the ball. No doubt
Okay.
about it. But
That's what
I
happens.
just, again, this was
You have longer drives.
this is a division.
which
That was
eats
a
up more
division
time.
game, and division games are a little weird. And again, you're
It's
in that
total
Seattle
dominance.
stadium. It's so loud. So again, it was probably great coaching to run the ball, as opposed to trying to throw the ball and things around that. But I just got the feeling watching that Seattle played them a little tougher than what they expected. I watched that game. In any event, speaking of getting, played a little tougher, we have the Kansas City Chiefs at number one, a clear number one at 215 points. What's that, like 19 points ahead of the first? What did you think about that game against the Patriots?
Like a video game. It was great. That's the NFL's version of what NFL football is supposed to be like. That's what the powers that be want. That's what they want. That's what all the rule changes are for. That's what all the protecting the quarterback and you can't land on him, you can't hit him below the knees and all that is to keep guys off of them so that they can light up the scoreboard.
Speaking of the one play where the Kansas City Chief lineman claims he let him go because he was afraid of the penalty. There's a question. He's getting some blowback on that. What did you think about it? You see that play?
I think, I don't know if this was a case, excuse me, of the penalty messing with the guy's head, but I think it had a little bit to do with it. But I believe he let him go when he could have surely tackled him because he wasn't sure if the ball was gone. And he was afraid he was going to get a late hit on the quarterback because he was behind him. And he didn't know if he had thrown it. I think Brady might have hit a little pump fake. Okay. And then when he felt the guy's grasp loosen, he tucked it around.
You stepped up, and Brady steps up.
The bottom line is, you got to take the guy down and take the chances.
Take the chances.
Just, if you don't roll on him and you don't straight, you can grab him around the angle, but you cannot hit him.
That was definitely a turning point in that game. Made a big difference. But Patrick Mahomes really showed well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the cheetah.
That's incredible.
Got so fast.
He's incredible.
He is so fast. It's ridiculous. And it's not just fast because even on Madden, when they talk about the different components of a player, they do have a rating for acceleration. When his acceleration has to be close to 100, he goes from 0 to 100, like bam, like that.
And he's got that rare speed and quickness.
Right.
Speed, quickness, change of direction. He has all of that. Not everybody has that. Some guys have straightaway speed. Some guys are quick, but they can't get away from you. He's got all of that.
Let's talk about defense. You gotta love defense. Number 5, the Tennessee Titans coming in. They've given up 107 points. Here's that other surprise team. Still a bit of a surprise. The Washington Redskins hanging in there. They've only given up 100. The Dallas Cowboys.
Improving.
Maybe finding themselves.
Improving on defense. I didn't want to say anything. I think I kind of saw them climbing very slowly in the past few weeks. I definitely noticed them climbing the fantasy rankings.
Okay.
But I didn't bring any of my old power rankings.
Talking about defense.
Here, defensively.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why I didn't say anything because I didn't want to speak an untruth. But yeah, much improved Cowboys defense. They're really playing hard and playing very well as a defensive unit.
Flying around.
Definitely
flying around.
Same thing with the Skins. Mm-hmm. Their pass rush is not getting the kind of credit they should. You look at their DBs and you think they're kind of regular, but Josh Norman can still play. Mm-hmm. And they got a couple other guys back there that he's leading the way, though.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
No doubt it. Number 2, Khalil Mack and the Chicago Bears, only giving up 96 points. So we've dropped 2 digits now from the 3-digit defense allowances now to 96 points. And if you can continue on that, then they can be competitive. think that's going to be an interesting team to watch for the rest of the season. And numero uno, here's your Baltimore Ravens.
Right. Hence, they're in the top 5. In fact, number 2 in total net points.
That's how you work it.
That's how you
work it. Now, the Ravens are 10th in scoring. They put up 153 points.
Right. So if you're number 1 in defense, number 10 in offense, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. That can average out, get you in the top 5. So that's an amazing thing. And turnover margin, which is the last one. Now Kansas City, I'm surprised, number 5 with +4 in the turnover margin.
Just helping improve their defense.
Now, this is a real surprise. The Atlanta Falcons +4. They're tied with Kansas City. And one reason that I say it's a bit of a surprise.
I know what you're going to say, and I agree with you.
Go ahead. You say
because they have to throw the ball so doggone much because they fall behind so much.
Okay, all right.
The more you throw it, the more chance you have of getting picked.
Well, that might be true. That might be
Strip
true.
sacks,
but
interceptions.
The turnover margin is positive for them. Okay.
That's right.
What I was going to say is that
they're in such shootouts that their defense gets a chance to get it. That's what I meant.
You
know what I meant. Okay. I had it backwards. Yeah, they're in such high-scoring games, and the games are such shootouts that the ball's flying all over the place, and they get a chance to pick off some passes, get some strip sacks.
Yes. Okay, but that's not what I was going to say.
That's not what you were going to say. Okay. What were you going to say? You got me on that. What were you going to say?
They are literally in last place in points against. With 92 points allowed.
Yes, they are.
A little bit.
So my theory that I gave incorrectly is actually correct. It just wasn't correct for the question.
I mean, Now the Kansas City Chiefs are in 27th place. They've given up 172 points. There's a couple defenses that I really, I thought we could hang our hat on. Number 1 was the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay,
we thought
we could hang our hat. Now they are in 10th place. They've given up 126 points. The Minnesota Vikings, I expected their defense to be a lot higher. They are 21st. They're actually tied with the Patriots with 148 points allowed. The Steelers, we knew their defense was a little questionable, but I did not expect
because they have that defensive tradition, you want to think, even if they start off slow, they're going to get better.
Exactly. But they're in 23rd place. Down there with the Broncos, so again, I keep thinking that their defense, but, long story short, there's some surprises. And last but not least, like I said, I thought maybe I could hang my hat on the Jaguars, and I was really liking the Browns defense.
Well, the Browns are trying to do their part.
Defensively, though, they're starting to get really beat up on. I mean, people are scoring on the Browns.
They're trying to do their part.
I mean, and they're first.
They're still number 1 in turnovers.
Right.
That's right. So
tied with Seattle, my sleeper team.
They're trying.
And just a step ahead of Chicago. But long story short, when it comes to giving up points, they are 22nd. They've given up 151 points.
Speaking of the 2 teams that you said you thought you could hang your hat on, I agree. I thought I could hang my hat on. So and also Jacksonville. Jacksonville, I think teams are starting to catch up with what they're doing. The Vikings, when you look at them player for player, man for man on paper, there's no way they should be getting handled like they are or having teams put up points on them like they are. I'm very perplexed about that. That would take some film study.
Some film, yeah, absolutely.
I don't understand it. Xavier Rhodes and them boys, that should not be happening.
Jacksonville is 31st in turnover margin with -9.
Right, so that doesn't help. If you can't get the ball away from the other team, that does not help.
Plus, if your quarterback is turning the ball over left.
No, I didn't really want to go there. I was trying to keep it simply with the defense.
can't
figure out what their ills are because it's not all on the quarterback.
That's a net
He
number.
is not helping them.
The margin is
in
a
the
net
least.
number. You got to look at both sides of the ball.
The quarterback is not helping them in the least. I understand that. They're probably on the field a lot more. Okay? All those things are negatives towards being a good defense. But sometimes you got to look at what are the ills of the defense itself. They're not shutting teams down like they used to. They're not getting turnovers. They're out on the field a lot, probably more than they want to be. And they're still not getting turnovers.
Who is, what's the name of the guy who's out?
Oh, that's, on the Vikings.
The Vikings. Once I
It'll
think,
come to me.
if he comes back, if he's ever able to make it back,
Griffin.
Everson.
There you go.
And I think he's a big part of that because he's a leader on that defense.
He is a leader on the defense. He is part of the front four. That is true.
Absolutely. So there we have our top 5 in net points for, points against, and turnover margin. These are the leaders in the NFL. We're going to change gears here, and now it's matchup time. The upcoming slate of games this weekend. Man, I see some good ones here. Some interesting matchups. I still haven't determined who's going to be my intriguing game of the day, of the Sunday slate of games that are between the 1 and 4. On the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, I do try to put out a specific write-up on the Thursday night game, on those games that are the highlight of a particular moment. For example, the Thursday night game, only game, the Sunday night game, only game at that particular time frame, and the Monday night game. But in addition to that, I do look for that matchup during the day that I find intriguing. I haven't really picked that yet. As we go through this, maybe I'll be able to come up with that. So let's start with Thursday night. And the one team that I was a little surprised about their defense. However, the Denver Broncos are going to travel to Arizona, and so they're going to go from the cold to the hot. That was a pretty cold game last week. Denver, they showed the part was white with snow.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Didn't they get some snow?
Yeah, it was pretty cold out there. And so now they're going to go to Arizona. Net point wise, the bias goes with Denver with 23 net points in their favor. Turnover margin, however, goes to Arizona with 3. So the bias plus score is actually in favor of Denver with a bias plus score of 20.
I wouldn't necessarily call this an intriguing game for the game itself, except for both teams kind of seem to be trending in the same direction. I think their records are very similar, very close, and they're not where they would like them to be.
Right.
But there's an interesting fantasy note here. Yes, this is the time of year when teams start having their buys, and most fantasy owners are settling in on the 1 or 2 defenses that they can carry with them throughout the fantasy season. And there's 2 defenses that are probably still out there that nobody's got. One's Denver and one's Arizona. And on the surface, you would think, oh, let me grab the Broncos,
right,
especially because they're playing the Cardinals. But guess which defense has actually been playing better? And I think if we look at the net points, it may bear itself out. I believe that Arizona's defense has actually been playing better than Denver's.
Well, let's take a quick
overall. So let's take
here in terms of
I could be wrong.
I see the Arizona Cardinals at 15. They've given up 139 points. And I see the Denver Broncos at 24. With 154 points.
Where are they at turnovers? Just real quick.
Turnover margin, they're at 23rd with -2.
Denver?
Yep.
And the Cardinals are
Cardinals
+1. Bam! Okay, we can move on. I'm taking Arizona in that game. I know it sounds crazy.
The other Josh, maybe they're listening to some of the critics talking about their need to run the ball over, take some of the pressure off their young man. They still have he's not hurt anymore.
Well, no. They need to throw the ball to him. Their run blocking sucks.
Okay, but they need to get it in his
Yes,
hand.
his skills are still intact, but they got to get him out in space because they can't seem to open holes for him. That's the problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially now Fitzgerald is hurt.
Is he?
He was last week. Yeah. He's banged up at least.
Okay.
So yeah, they got to get
Is
the
this
ball
his
in
swan
the season.
song? Is this it for him?
I don't know.
Larry
I mean,
Legend?
I don't remember him saying anything about it was going to be his last year or anything. But you know, sometimes the time comes when those guys are like, you know what, I might be done. Well, we got to wait and see.
You say some guys have a steady decline, some guys just fall
Fall
off.
off the cliff.
You know. And then, you know, a lot of times I've heard guys say, especially when they're injured, I just didn't have it, what I needed to do all of the work to get back to the point where I could play.
I heard that also.
You know,
Yeah.
so we'll see how that works out. Tennessee going in against the LA Chargers. The Chargers have a 51 net point bias in their favor and a turnover margin of 4, giving the Chargers a bias plus of 55.
Well, now,
It's quite a deep subject.
after seeing Tennessee get handled last week, their offense, Tennessee's offense is in freaking disarray. I ran it on getting Derrick Henry the ball last year,
He
like
sure did.
weeks and weeks and weeks at a time.
He sure did.
And now he's basically in a little timeshare with Deion Lewis, who isn't really being exceptional either. And this guy can't get on track. I don't understand it. I'm done with him. I'm done with that guy.
Done?
I'm not going to ever root for him again. What the hell? There's nothing wrong with him.
Well, first and foremost,
And Mariota's back there getting pounded.
that's part of the question. I don't know how good their offensive line is.
Can you name one of their receivers?
Well, you know, whether I can name one of their receivers or not,
That's how
yeah,
bad
you
he's
know,
done.
there's if your line stinks, it doesn't make a difference. We could say the same thing about because a minute ago we could say it about Green Bay. Who's their receiver? I mean, how many people really knew about Stanley, for example? I will say this much. I will say, well, you might have known, but I will say this much, and I got to give it to Schrager. Schrager's on Good Morning Football,
Right.
because he was on Scantling a while, like early preseason. I got to give it to him, you know. So yeah, he's got to probably leave my favorite because he finds
You turned me on to him because of his name. You saw the name and you're like, yo, look at this dude's name. And I was like, all right, I'm a what? And then I saw him. I'm like, hey, that guy's good. And then I'm like, well, you know, they got Geronimo Allison, they got Devontae, and Randall's top still around. He probably won't put much run. And I started getting hurt. He stepped up, proved himself. And Aaron Rodgers even said, they asked him about the young receivers. And he said, the other guy with the funny name, and Nick
Williams or something like that.
He said, he's coming along, and this guy's coming along. And he said, now this Scantling's ahead of all of them.
Yeah, he did say that. I remember
He said
saying
he's
that.
ahead of all of them.
Sure did. So you like that?
So anyway,
bias
bottom line
55?
is I'm going with the bias plus of 55. Charges all day long.
Chargers all day long. All right. All of a sudden, I have a suspicion that this could be the intriguing game of the week for me. We have
Man, I want to hear what you got to say
Patriots
about this one.
going into Chicago to deal with the Bears.
And the Bears
And
have
the
the
Bears
bias.
have a net point bias of 15,
and the bias
a
plus.
turnover margin bias of 4, giving them a bias plus score of 19. For the Bears, Khalil Mack's not going to let go. Tom
No,
Brady
he's
if
gonna
he
take Tom
gets
Brady
in.
down. He's going to take him down.
He's going to take him down. And
So what do you
this
think about this
flag,
game real
this
quick?
flag. You know something?
Since you feel it's intriguing.
I'm suspicious that I might choose this as. I mean, first of all, anytime I said last week that Tom Brady is the bias buster.
Okay.
Remember I said
yes,
that?
you did say that.
Because the week before the bias was
Was
against
against him.
him. Last week the bias was against him against
Yeah.
Kansas City.
Right.
And now this. So but they're in Chicago,
Ah,
and they're not facing a mediocre defense. They're facing a really good defense this
it's a
year.
pretty good defense.
Of course, now Tom Brady has his weapons, and the question is, when is Josh Gordon's contribution really going to kick in?
He's due a big breakout game.
You
It's
know,
coming.
At the very least, and this is what I say about those what you call one-trick wonders, those guys with a lot of speed. They change spacings on the field. You know, you get a guy like a Josh Gordon, defense backs up. You know, they back up.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call him a one-trick pony.
Well,
he's
but
a
I'm
good route
saying,
runner. I'm talking
but
about
he's a
guys like
speedy-
Deshaun Jackson.
right, but he's a speedy guy.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying about guys with speed.
Mhm.
Some of them are one-trick wonders with ponies. That's
Mhm.
okay, you know.
But
But
that's why the Patriots got him, because that's what they were missing.
they were missing that.
Right.
And that changes the dynamic of the spacings on the field.
Yes.
So we have to see how the Patriots defense, now again, Patriots defense, where are they at? I think they're middle of the road right about now.
Yeah, they're down in
20th. They're 20th. They're right above the Vikings that we were just talking about. When I looked at this game,
They can be run on and they can be passed on. The problem is Brady seems to be able to move up and down the field when he's got the ball at will on any defense. Nobody's actually ever been able to really stifle it. That's the problem when you play the Patriots. And again, like you said, they got all the weapons now. Edelman's off the suspension. Gordon's been there a few weeks now. Every week he gets more and more targets. In fact, I believe he got more looks than Edelman got. And he spread the ball around a lot because Gronk had a few catches, big catches, and Hogan caught some chain-moving catches. And I think he scored a touchdown, too. So he's getting the ball out to everybody. He's dumping it off to James White. Sony Michel seems to be the number one rusher.
he's running well. He's running well.
So
yeah.
if you happen to be in a fantasy league where Sony Michel is still available, please grab him because the people in that league have no clue what's going on. Still available.
Interesting. So you're going with the GOAT?
I'm not taking Mitchell Trubisky over Brady. Like I said, you don't. The way to beat the Patriots is to keep Brady off the field. As good as the Bears defense is, you don't want them having to deal with him.
The Bears got a nice
And
run
I
game.
don't
They
know.
have a bad
The
run
Bears
game.
have a nice run game.
So they can control the clock a little bit.
Yes, they can. And they can bang it with Jordan Howard. And they can scat back it with Tyreek Cohen. That is true. And they got the buys. And they're home. Twist my arm for them. I'm taking Chicago.
No.
Twist my arm.
Okay.
Don't see that.
Buffalo, Indianapolis.
Oh, I like this game.
Indianapolis has a 34-point net point bias. Buffalo has the turnover margin bias in their favor, which reduces the overall bias. Still in Indianapolis, the Colts favor by bias plus score of 3.
Indy's not going to win a lot of games, but they're going to win this one. They're actually kind of sneaky good.
Well, I mean, at least they have a quarterback that's quality. You know, there's not as many questions.
He's still. I don't think he's still 100%, but I think he's like 98%.
We talked a little bit
And they'll
about
do better when T.Y. Hilton gets back too. But I like Indy in this one.
We talked a little bit about the quarterback situation. Those expect Josh Allen to miss at least 2 to 3 games. And they picked up Derek Anderson.
We gonna talk about this.
How old did you say Derek Anderson was?
Oh, he's at least 62 or 63 years old. At least.
At least.
I don't want to. Don't quote me.
They questioned whether or not he would actually start, and the coach was like, "Well, he's only been here a week. I don't."
However, what's the alternative?
Interceptions. That's the alternative.
Wait. Peterman knows the entire playbook. We can just get Derek Anderson to learn like the first chapter. He's in there.
He could be better.
He's in there.
He could be better, yeah. And look, believe me, if Nathan, if the rush gets to him, he could be out by halftime. So it'd be like, go ahead, Indiana.
Yeah, I can't. I just can't take Buffalo. Can't do it.
And let me again say, we have Derek Anderson and not.
Yeah, Kaepernick still can't get a job. Newsflash.
They would rather have Derek.
They brought in Derek Anderson, old ass Derek Anderson. Do y'all remember Derek Anderson? I think the last team he played for was Carolina. I think. I'm fairly sure.
Okay.
That's all I got to say about that.
Let's move on again. That's going to go. We're going with Indianapolis on that one. The Detroit Lions and the Miami Dolphins.
This is actually an intriguing game.
Yes, because you don't get many ties with bias plus. Net point bias goes to Detroit at 3. Turnover margin bias goes to Miami at 3, giving them a bias plus of 0. It's a tie, baby.
I think Miami's starting to falter. Oh, jeez.
They're home.
Tannehill's out, you know. Brock Osweiler. Oh, remember that name?
I like to call him
Osweiler.
Look,
wait.
from what I understand, he plays super against the Bears for some reason. The rest of the league, however,
and it just so happened that they played the Bears last week and beat them 31-28. He went 28 for 44, 2 touchdowns, 380 yards.
That's how we got the contract. He would come in and play super
against the Bears.
And they're like, you're great.
Right.
$50 million. And
then he tanks.
And they trade.
So guess what? I'm taking Detroit to go into Miami. He's going to tank Detroit. I'm picking Detroit.
Okay. All right. You got Detroit in the tie, over the tie. All right. Here's another one interesting game. The Vikings are going to visit the Jets. The Jets have a 34-point net point bias. Now,
is it that bad, though? This is the Vikings, right?
That's what we just said. We wondered where their defense was. They got the $80 million dead arm swinging quarterback.
What's going on?
But the Jets have the bias, and they have the turnover margin bias, giving them a bias plus score of 38 points.
And they're home.
And
they won last week.
Man.
Rather than do another segment, I'm going to throw some of these stats in here.
Okay.
Sam Darnold, 24 for 30, 1 touchdown, 280 yards. Not spectacular, good enough to win.
Man. Yeah. Putting a lot of pressure on your Giants, aren't they?
For the New York fans.
For the New York, everybody's like, we could have had that guy.
Well, there's plenty of fans going. You know what? That's my rant. Thank you.
Okay, we'll get to that.
You could have had that guy. Just for that, I'm taking Minnesota. Please don't put money on my picks. I'm pretty good, but I ain't that good.
All right, 38 points going to the Jets. Carolina coming into Eagle Land to play the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Philly's got a 13 net point bias. They got 13 net points in their favor. Carolina's coming with a 5 turnover margin bias in their favor, which drops the Philly bias plus score to 8. That could be real.
Let me just scan something here real fast.
That could be real tight. Let's face it, 8 points is fly.
All right, here's the problem. The Panthers have a good defense, not a great defense, but they turn the ball over. The Eagles have a good defense, but not a great defense. They don't turn the ball over. However, the Eagle defense is playing against Cam Newton, who does run a lot, hence can fumble, hard hits. He throw picks like, what's his face, but he's, And the Eagles defense, well, I just said that they're playing Cam. Carolina. Ooh. You know what? I'm talking myself into picking Philadelphia. They have the bias plus. They're home. I'm going to make the smart pick there, and I'm going to take it.
All right.
If they let me down, I'll be sure.
He didn't let his bias get in the way. He chose the
I'm
bias.
not going to let my bias get in the way of picking the bias.
Bias stop him from going with the bias. Giant. All righty. So we have Philadelphia that you're going with. Cleveland, Tampa Bay. This was going to be my intriguing game.
Really?
Because they both are struggling. Cleveland is coming in with a net point bias of 9 and a turnover margin bias of 13, which hasn't really helped them. Now, I was giving them a lot of love for the turnovers, but that doesn't really help them as their defense, again, like we said, hasn't worked as well as I thought they were with all the talent that they had. And their rush isn't putting on the pressure that I thought it would. So there's some real questions there. However, with a 9-point net point bias and a 13 in the bias for the turnover margin, Cleveland's coming in with a bias plus score of 22. So Jameis is back. Mitchell, Baker Mayfield.
I like Baker Mayfield.
Is getting his welcome to the NFL. So things aren't going particularly great for him.
No, but he's handling it well.
He's handling it. So, I would root for Cleveland in this situation. But if Jameis can begin to find those receivers in the same way that Fitzmagic was finding them, or somewhere close to that, they should be able to beat.
Okay, so now you remember what I said about Fitzmagic. The magic wasn't really him. It was the efficiency with which he ran the offense. And if a more physically gifted guy like Jameis Winston can efficiently handle and run that offense, he should have the same type of outcome. So,
Is Jameis efficient like that?
Okay. They lost to the Falcons 34-29. 34-29. Jameis went 30 for 41. 2 touchdowns, 395 yards. That's Fitzmagic numbers. Neither defense could stop anybody either, and the Falcons basically had the ball last.
It was the Falcons who are in what place defensively?
I don't care. If he threw for 260, I'd say not good enough. He almost threw for 400 yards. He did what he was supposed to do.
Against the Falcons.
I don't care.
You don't
He
care.
did what he was supposed to do. Okay, if my flag football team plays the girls high and we win 50-0, what are you going to say? Oh, it was girls high?
Yep.
No, we did what we were supposed to do.
It was girls high.
If we beat them 21-7, what are you going to say?
Girls high. It was girls high.
No, you're going to say, damn, man.
You have to look at the quality
What
on the other side of the line.
What are you talking about? Everybody plays the Falcons. I don't hear you say that. That's the first time I ever say, oh, they were playing the Falcons.
Well, I'm only saying that because the Falcons' defense
Why
sucks.
you so say it every week then? Every time
not everybody defense sucks like that.
Every time another quarterback throws for 300 plus on the Falcons, you need to say that. Don't just say it because it's Jameis. He ran the offense efficiently. They couldn't. Their defense couldn't stop that
Fitzmagic
line.
was putting up in the 40s. He's not
40
doing that.
what?
Points. Their offense was scoring in the 40s.
A couple of times.
Huh?
Who were they playing? Okay.
You have to go back.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Falcons, that's for sure.
I think actually one game was the Falcons. They're in the same division. They play them twice.
And they put up 40.
Yeah, probably.
So if Fitzmagic put up 40 and Jameis put up 21.
All right. Can we get off this? I'm taking Tampa Bay at home.
Taking Tampa Bay at home.
This guy. You're terrible, man. You got your picks.
Going against
you got your
bias.
picks. And you talk about me with the Eagles. You got your picks.
I'm just saying. Okay, so you're going against the bias here.
Yes.
All right. Houston Titans going in against Jacksonville. Two stumbling. And Houston's coming in with a net point bias of 15 and a turnover margin bias of 8. Houston bias plus 23.
Taking Jacksonville.
Like Jacksonville?
Yep. It's bounce back.
The Bortles bounce back? That's the question.
Well,
that's the question.
They could run back a kick and get 2 pick sixes. And
what about Deshaun?
What about him?
You don't trust that he can make up? He can
You want me to
get in the
look
gear?
through there and tell you what he had last week? Way worse than Jameis.
Was it?
Way worse.
Who they play last week?
Oh, come on.
Wasn't playing the Falcons. That's
now, but I'm looking it up because you just
he wasn't playing the Falcons.
Dude. What is this Jameis bias?
I'm not
You got Jameis bias.
I might have a little Jameis bias.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe it's because he was eating his finger. He's just.
Oh, that eating the finger, that was weird.
It was weird.
Then he used those same fingers to grope that Uber driver. Ew. Or maybe that's why he's licking them. Okay, stop.
That's enough.
Let's move on. I'm looking up Deshaun's numbers right here. Oh, they beat the Bills.
Who did?
Deshaun Watson. But he only scored 20.
I mean, the Bills.
It was the Bills.
The Bills.
Oh,
wait a minute. Where's the Bills defense at? The Bills defense?
Will you please?
The Bills are 13.
I really want to continue on with this
on defense.
Our conversation with the next matchup.
They really.
Okay, unfortunately,
I'm
going to have to go all in here. 15 for 25, 2 touchdowns, 177. That's a little less than mediocre. All right, can we move on now?
Who we got next?
This is the team I'm loving right here, both of them. This is an intriguing game. This is an intriguing game, dog. We got the number 3-0 against the number 1D. What? Oh, man.
New Orleans Saints going into Baltimore. I'm still using Lamar in those creative ways.
Yeah, a little bit. Just give us a little taste here and there.
He ain't throwing the ball worth a darn.
No, that's okay. That's all right.
He's running. Baltimore has a 36 net point bias in their favor. The Saints have a turnover bias of 2 in their favor. Baltimore bias plus score 34 in there.
This is a tough one. Baltimore has a nice ball control. They got one deep threat, John Brown. Steady kind of offense, steady kind of game manager quarterback. New Orleans is explosive, record-setting offense. But defensively, it's tough. And New Orleans is trying to get tough.
Numero uno.
Baltimore's at home. I think this one is going to be not a super high-scoring shootout, but a shootout nonetheless. And I think New Orleans will come out on top.
Against
too many weapons.
Baltimore's home.
Too many weapons.
And it ain't it's not in the dome. It'll be out in nature.
Ooh, that's right. Wait.
In nature.
That's not a night game or nothing, is it?
Nah, that's a day game.
It's low on the things. Does that mean it's a 4:25 game?
Could be.
Hold up, man.
It could be a little chilly out there.
I'm changing that one. I love Drew Brees. I love him to death.
It could be a little chilly.
I love him to death, but I'm going with Baltimore in the bias.
Oh,
I got to. I got to. Baltimore's weather's the same as ours. It's going to be crappy.
Yeah. Well, at least chilly.
Crappy weather, cold field.
Outdoors, wind, elements.
I'm not starting. Guess who I'm starting in my main fantasy league? James.
No wonder you're giving me such hell.
Let it rain.
No wonder you're giving.
Let it rain. I'm not starting it. Let it rain.
All right.
Who we got here? Who's next?
Well, this ain't exactly going to be an intriguing game.
No, don't try to play down. I think this is going to be a good game.
Okay. Well, again,
for a little while.
It's my beloved Niners. We're going to host the number one net point ranked LA Rams. LA Rams have a net point bias of 109 points.
Wait, that's the bias?
That's the net point bias by itself. The only 3-digit bias plus score because the Rams also have a turnover margin bias of 13.
And it's got one of the only 2-digit turnover biases.
Yeah. And we were turning the ball. I mean, even Juszczyk turned over the ball.
Yeah, he did have a fumble. That was rare.
Really do that.
Yeah,
a lot, and that really hurt us. I mean, we could have been take those turnovers out. We were in the game with Green Bay, but again, we always say there's something strange about division games. Teams play each other, but I really don't see my Niners overcoming a 122 bias plus score.
You know, I'm going to remind you what you said about 10 minutes ago, right?
What's that?
That the Rams seemed to struggle last week.
Against the Seahawks. My sleeper team.
Against the Seahawks.
Yes.
Okay. So the same thing that happened to the Seahawks is going to happen to y'all. You're gonna have some big plays here and there. Breed's gonna have a couple nice runs. You know, good one. Catch a couple bombs. Yeah. You know, I love him deep. He's great. Okay. Last week on the Seahawks, Ty Gurley went 28 carries for 208 yards. That's no passes. That's all on the ground, baby.
And do you know
you're running for 208 yards, you don't need to throw the ball.
That was his first 200-yard game.
Ever?
Yeah. I thought he must have had like a bunch of them.
Well, he seldom has. He's more in the 20, 23 carry realm when he's playing well, which is going to get him 100 every time. It's going to get him in the high hundreds sometimes.
Okay.
But 28 carries, yeah. Okay. 28 carries, a guy like that can really go. And they didn't need to even flank him out or swing him out and dump it to him. They dominated the front line and they just kept going with it, which makes longer drives, which is going to keep the score down.
Okay, all right.
But unfortunately, that's going to happen.
We got another division matchup here.
Oh, battle.
Yes. Oh, yes. You know, I posted on our Twitter page last week after after Dallas won, Redskins won. No, not the Redskins. Yeah, Redskins won.
Right.
That the NFC East looks a little scarier to the Eagles than what it had after they beat the Giants.
It sure looks a lot scarier than most people thought. Most people thought that the Eagles would win this division easy. And they may still win the division. It ain't going to be easy.
It ain't going to be easy. So Dallas is going up against Washington. In Washington, Dallas has an 18-point net point bias. Washington has a turnover margin bias, which drops the bias plus score in Dallas's favor, however, to 14.
Oh, Dallas gets the plus. Okay. Redskins defense. Boy, this is a tough one. I'm going to go with the Skins. I'm not believing in Dallas just yet. I know they scored 40, and I know everybody's like, "Oh, Dak is back." It's one game. They're going to have to do better, or they're going to have to do the same to make me a believer. I'm going to go with the Skins on this one.
Okay. Yeah, there's a question as to how, once teams see you run, and now they all of a sudden, okay, that's now in our defensive game plan to make sure that we spy you a little bit more,
right,
and things of that nature. But the question is going to be, can they stop Zeke?
Right.
Because then now you get into your RPOs, you get into those types of plays. Which
that's true.
Can open some things up for them. This should be a really good game. Again, a division headbanger. So Dallas has the bias plus score, but you're going with Washington.
Yes.
All righty. Cincinnati Bengals traveling into Kansas City. Kansas City has a 27 net point bias in their favor and a turnover margin bias of 4 in their favor, giving them a bias plus score of 31 for the Kansas City Chiefs.
I like the Cincinnati offense. I think Tyler Boyd adds a nice option away from AJ Green. I think Joe Mixon is coming into his own. He's going to be a really fine running back for years to come. I think Andy Dalton is Andy Dalton, but their defense is banged up. This is going to be like raw meat for a hungry dog. Kansas City's going to light these boys up. It might even be a game for a while. It might even be, you know what this is going to be? It's going to be like 42 to 32, 42 to 28 or something.
Okay, going out scores.
Yeah.
Go ahead, mister. Let's see. One else scores.
Kansas City's on fire, man. They're like nuclear.
Mahomes has what?
He went to Foxborough. This dude, second year in the league, goes into Foxborough and is tossing the rock around like crazy, throwing off his back foot, on the run, legs crossed, throwing across his body. He looks fearless.
Yeah.
He's fearless.
Yeah. And I mean, he's got an interesting level of body control.
Yeah.
Like you said, throwing off the back foot, throwing on the move, throwing in midair.
That's that Texas Tech Raiders stuff.
So okay. That's the Sunday night game. So
And last but least. Oh wait, they're playing Atlanta. Yeah, G-Man
versus the Falcons.
If we can't win this game, we're done. According to you, if we can't win this game, good Lord. Down there.
But wait a second. Atlanta's coming in with a net point bias of 20 and a turnover margin bias of 8, giving Atlanta a bias plus score of 28, and they are home.
I need Saquon to run wild. If Saquon runs wild, that's ball control for us, chances to score. I actually think our defense is better than Atlanta's. I don't know if it bears out on our power ranking sheet. I'd have to look. We can win this game. We're on artificial turf. We're in a dome, no elements, no rain, no wind.
No blocking.
We can win it. They block enough to get him in there. Once he gets to the.
So I'm not talking about Saquon.
Oh,
I'm talking about Eli.
That's what I'm saying. If Saquon's running well, then we can get away with that little dump off stuff.
Okay.
You know, we can get away with that. If that's all he can throw, if that's all he can manage, then so be it. But Saquon's going to have to run the ball. If we can run the ball efficiently, then maybe we can get 2nd and 7 and have some options, you know?
I made a note to say again that I believe that Eli is something going on with his vision because the short intermediate receivers are open. And he's got time to get the ball off to them. He might not have time to get the ball off deep to Beckham. But I'm seeing guys coming off the ball first 10 yards, there's nobody near him. And he's not getting that ball out.
Are they turning around? Are they hooking up or slamming within 10 yards? Because if they're still running the routes, he can't.
Well, that means that the coach needs to shorten up them routes. He needs to get some of those.
But then when he does throw slants and flanker screens and such, then people are like, oh, he can't throw the ball down. So something's wrong.
Well, you know, you start off, like I said, even with Brady, you'll see Brady first down, quick 5, 2nd and 5. That's what you want. You don't want to be 2nd and 10.
What kind of routes is he throwing? What kind of routes is he throwing?
Who, Brady?
Yeah.
The shorter routes. That's what I'm saying.
He's slants.
Little quick.
Hooking up the tight end in the middle.
Quick hookups. Little dump offs to his running backs. You know,
okay,
just enough to begin
to
loosen up that defense. And, you know, eventually the long stuff will open up. But you got to control what that defense is doing by having some success at some point, either running the ball, bring them up,
which is why I said I need Saquon to be super efficient. Okay, he has to be more efficient than just efficient because of the deficiencies of the offensive line.
Is it efficient you want him to be, or
I
productive?
want him to be. Well, I think if he's efficient,
When you say efficient, what do you mean?
I think he has to be smart in his runs. Okay, you're not going to break every one. You know what I'm saying? You can't go for the home run every time.
You can't do the Barry Sanders and lose some
Exactly.
yards and stuff like that.
That would not be efficient. And if he's not efficient, then he won't be productive. That's exactly what I mean.
Okay.
He has to make every run count. He has to have 20 to 25 carries. He can only manage 20 to 25 carries and then stay in the game by making sure that he's productive, which means every run has to be efficient. That way, they can go downfield when they want to instead of having to do it. Okay? First thing, he can't run for 2 yards on first down. He's got to run for 5 yards or 7 yards. Because if it's 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4, now the defense is on their heels because you can come at them so many different ways. And
well, the good thing is
defense like Atlanta, that's even more
That's
of an advantage.
Good thing they're playing Atlanta, so hopefully they can. So Atlanta has a 28 bias plus score in their favor.
I'm taking the Giants, man.
Oh, he's doing it again.
I'm doing it again. I said I wasn't going to do it, but I'm doing it again. They're set up here. They're set up for a win. They don't win this game. I'll be upset.
Backup quarterback?
I don't know.
Think they'll play him this year?
No, I don't. Well, I don't know. They might. Oh, are we ready? Are we done with this segment?
We're just about to. Yeah, pretty much. This wraps
Since you
up
asked me that question, I'm gonna tell you something real fast.
Okay. Yeah.
There is a rumor. You may be hearing it here first. That sometime between now and before next season, like maybe before the draft, after the draft, around combine time, the Oakland Raiders will make a deal to send Derek Carr to the Giants.
For
draft picks.
For draft picks.
Number 1. Future number 1.
So Oakland really is going to tank this season.
Yeah, they're giving players away. From what I read, the only guy who doesn't have a trade-friendly contract is Jordy Nelson. For some reason, they went in all in for Jordy Nelson, which is actually paying off for them because he's basically the best receiver they got. They'll trade Amari Cooper if they can. He's hurt all the time. He's got concussion problems. Got concussion now. That can't stay healthy. They already dumped Crabtree. They got nothing left. I think they're gonna clean house, and they're gonna give Gruden 2, maybe 3 drafts of his own to rebuild that team. But I would not be upset if Derek Carr came to the Giants. Not at all. Because that allows them to get a veteran who's still young. See? And they can save them picks. Well, I mean, it's going to cost them a high pick to get him. But now they don't have to worry about taking the gamble that these teams take when they take these young quarterbacks high in the draft and pay them a lot of money and then hope that they pay them out. They'll have a proven product and giving them better weapons, and then they can concentrate on the offensive line. They won't have to worry about, yeah, he was the greatest quarterback in college, and yeah, he's the consensus number 1 pick, but we're not sure. You know what I mean? You can bring Derek Carr, plug him right in. And he's only, 25?
Okay, all right. Let's do the social media, and then I'll let you. I don't really have a rant.
I forgot what mine was already. You say it's Spartan.
Yeah, so this is the Philly game. Well, let's go through the social media. So, just to go through where you can find some of the information that you've heard on Ben and Barry on football. Number 1, here is the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. I do now have a URL, and I just started the Twitter page.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have a Twitter page before. I was doing everything here. So SterlingNPPR.com will bring you directly to Facebook page. Again, it is a public page, so you can see everything that's happening. You don't even have to have a Facebook account. But if you have a Facebook account, come visit us, like our page, share the page, follow us, and stay on top of all the information, especially relative to the net points and what's going on, so that you'll know. Because again, what happened last week, Ben, with the net points, we were
yeah,
the bias. The bias was 73.3%.
That's right.
On the money
Bias
last
was
week.
right 11 out of 15 times.
That is absolutely amazing. And I always tell people, as we get further into the season, the trends will begin to kick in, and you'll really begin to see teams as they improve their defense
And it
improve
is
their
a
offense.
trendsetter, not a predictor.
Exactly. Right. You want to check out the trends, and that way you kind of know where they're going and to a degree, but we don't consider it a predictive situation. Ben and Barry on football is also on Facebook at BNBOF. You can find us on Facebook. Again, like us, follow us, and we do share a lot of different information on Facebook. Jim Taylor passed away.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I want to mention the owner of the Ball Allen Romo Seahawks. I saw a lot of shows talking about him. And, it's already amazing that he's a co-founder of Microsoft. Him and Bill Gates.
That's amazing enough.
Yeah, that's amazing enough. But then, once he became like a billionaire, you start to find out that he's number one. When I found out, big fan of Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, okay, cool.
Not only that, played guitar in a band.
I heard that. I heard.
Played guitar in a band.
Yeah.
Owned like 4 sports teams.
I know he owned the Supersonics at one point.
Rebuilt the Seahawks stadium.
Yes.
And specifically,
when people thought they were going to move,
kept them from moving.
Yep.
So he's beloved in Seattle.
Yep.
Kept them, but he was behind the acoustic advantage that the Seahawks stadium has. He's the brainchild behind that. So, I mean, just so many things.
He had some specifics about how he wanted that place to be built so that it would be the loudest. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
From what I understand, he wasn't a big, he was always behind the scenes relative to the owners, NFL owners. Mm-hmm. But from what I understand, when he did show up and when he spoke, people listened. Everybody listened.
He was the anti-Jerry Jones.
Absolutely. Oh, wait. Look at that.
He looked beautiful.
Even talked about that. So, yes. Visit us at Ben and Barry on football. We do also have a Twitter page. We're picking a follow. We're up to 29 now.
That's great.
But the likes are amazing. I don't know where these likes are. It's amazing. I don't, maybe we must have a lot of people who are not following us who see us and they'll click like it, or whatever.
Would you say most people do that?
Well, I don't. If I like something, I'll usually look to follow.
I like stuff a lot, and I'm not really following.
This was probably one of the most fun things.
Oh, Lord, this was horrible. There's my rant. There's my rant, and I'm going to be honest. I cannot take 100% credit for this. I think, although he didn't exactly rant about it, Stephen A. Smith did say something about this. First of all, I like Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
I like him. I think he's a great UFC fighter. He took a couple L's though, and I think he's one of them very entertaining, out there kind of guys. I like his little stick and all that. Okay, and I have no problem with him going to an NFL game and getting caught on camera. Why are you on the field throwing left-handed, not holding the strings? You obviously know zero about American football. Nothing. Nada. Zippo.
But they were all doing his dance, his walk.
He's a loser. You lost, dude. You don't come make a spectacle. You let the camera accidentally catch you up in the press box and wave. You don't go down on the field. And I don't have no problem with them doing that. I think that's cool. I like that, dude.
You like it?
It's an over-exaggerated old head walk from back in the day. It's a little over-exaggerated, but I like it. But no, you don't come down there and act like, yeah, it's me. I'm here.
Well, he helped inspire them to a win. They won.
He didn't inspire.
He helped. He helped. Everybody was doing the walk. Doing the walk.
Oh, my gosh.
Family friend, Corey Clement, Philadelphia area native, went to his GM and said, they don't need the Bill here. You don't need no stinking Le'Veon Bell.
Wait a minute. When the rumors were circulating, you mean to tell me he walked in to the GM's office and told him verbally? Is that what this is?
That's what this is. The NFL. NFL put this out, and I had to share it. And Howie Roseman challenged him, and he ran pretty well.
Oh yeah,
he ran pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, he ran pretty. However, I
still have to do better than that.
I still don't understand why they keep running Smallwood ahead of him. And they had him out on kickoff coverage. You got two decent running backs that you can depend on. You got him on kickoff coverage. I've already complained, that was my rant if I was going to have a rant, about putting your starters back there returning kicks, like a Beckham, for example.
But they don't have to do that. They
don't have. That's my whole point. They don't have to. It don't make sense. It does not make sense.
The Eagles feel like they have to
put Corey Clement on kickoff coverage. He wasn't returning kicks. He was covering kicks.
And he's really, really good at it.
You got a whole team.
You can't listen.
You don't have a
listen. The Eagles do not subscribe to the grab some practice player scrubs and put them on kickoffs and stuff. They feel like they need the best of the best in all three phases. Every team is not like that. They obviously are. I'm not saying it's right. All I'm saying is nobody can out-cover this guy on the kick. They need him in that spot. They feel like they might give up a kick return if he's not out there. It might sound crazy, but what other reason can you possibly fathom for them to have him out there?
We had
plenty of questions
about the way they used their running backs last year. And we still got questions.
That's different. That's the running back rotation on offense.
Again, they're starting Smallwood. They're playing Smallwood ahead of him. And I don't see Smallwood being – I see it the other way around.
If you want to have a rant, you can rant that all day. I'm with you. Okay? But I think if you put a gun to their heads, they come back and say, we can't start and give the majority of carries to Corey because then he won't be able to do all the other stuff that we need him to do. And your eyes take the other stuff away from him. In their eyes, no. We'd rather have half of Corey and a full-time Smallwood and let Corey do his special teams thing than have all of Corey, which means Smallwood's barely playing because he can't do the special team stuff, and I got to bring somebody up off the bat. No, it's too much. That's too much for them. I'm telling you, that's what it is. I'm telling you, I don't care if you like the answer. That's the answer, dude. He can't run back. He can't do kickoff coverage. And punt coverage, I think he's on too. And pass protect. And carry the ball 15 to 20 times. He can't do all that. At least they don't think he can. They don't want to test it. Because if he gets hurt again, then where are they?
That's what I'm saying. You got two running backs.
Are you listening to me?
I'm listening to you, but okay. What you're saying is why they're doing it. I don't care why they're doing it. Why I think it's stupid. So that's the bottom line.
You might think they should be able to do better, but I don't think it's...
But I disagree with what they're doing. Because you said you wouldn't do it either.
No, I wouldn't do it either. Okay. I'd find somebody else to cover them kicks.
Somebody going to find cover them
I'd make somebody. Somebody would have to cover them kicks.
Somebody be working hard on kick coverage.
But here's the thing.
It wouldn't be Corey.
They could go get somebody to cover kicks.
Yeah.
They don't want to. They don't want to.
Okay.
You can find a kick. There's some dude on another practice squad who they got film on who covered kicks like crazy probably in the preseason, and they could go get him if they wanted to, but they won't.
You know, it's funny. You're the only guy that can agree with me and argue with me like you don't agree with me.
That's something. I'm telling you, I understand what you're saying, and I do agree with you, but I know why they're doing it the way they do it.
We've had plenty of,
and I think they should fix that. I think him running the ball is more important to their team than him covering kicks, and it's easier to replace him covering kicks than it is to replace him as a running back. Obviously, it costs you a lot less money too. Them cheap so-and-sos just won't put in the work to find somebody to do that. And with Ajayi being out, you would think that would be the move. Instead of playing tiddlywinks with the Bills, half-ass trying to pretend like they want to get Shady back, they better pull the trigger on somebody. Shady, Le'Veon, somebody. It's going to bite them.
They don't have to pull. They just need to get somebody to cover the kick.
It's going to bite. That's what.
According to Corey,
one of the other.
We can handle it.
But
Corey
they won't do it.
I can handle it. Go, Corey.
He can.
Go, Corey.
He can. He can back up Smallwood. And he can cover the kicks.
No, I think he should be ahead of Smallwood. Smallwood should back
he didn't
him
say
up.
that. He didn't say that. Just said you don't need nobody else.
I'm saying it.
15,
I'm
12
saying
carries for me a game is enough.
I'm saying get that young man the ball and let
you
him
know I love him.
So
I would be scouring the practice squads and scouring preseason film and find me a guy to cover them kicks so he don't have to do it. You either got to do that or you got to pull the trigger and bring a free agent in.
Ben and Barry on Football is also on YouTube at benandbarryonfootball.com. If you go to that website, you will come directly to our YouTube page, and that way you will see. And again, we ask you, make sure you click that subscribe button and click on that bell so that you will get notifications whenever we put out a video, which generally is about the same time, which is Wednesday, on a weekly basis. So that almost wraps it up, unless you have a rant.
No, I'm done.
You're done?
That turned into a rant. My agreeing to disagree that I agree with you.
Well, no, it was fun. This was a great session. I enjoyed it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Ben and Barry on Football signing off.
Tyreek Hill deuces. Who knows?